I think we've been on a downward trajectory for the better part of 6 decades. We have dismissed God as it relates to how he defines male and female. We've diminished marriage, right, through our laws and policies. We've displaced men through big government policies that assume that Uncle Sam can be a stand-in husband for millions of women and a stand-in father for millions of children, low-income children. We've deceived women through the lies of feminism that tell them that femininity is weak, and really to be the height of being a woman is acting, thinking, and behaving like a man. We've destroyed children through the evil of abortion. And then we've elected leaders, and we've taken on ourselves leaders who deny the problem. And that is the reason that the home is divided. It didn't get that way overnight. And changing this and turning back to God and to the biblical blueprint and design for the family also will not happen overnight. But I do think that it's possible.
Well, you mentioned government, and there are several thoughts that run through my mind. You do have a tendency of some in government to think that they can raise children better than the parents can. You mentioned the government stepping in and attempting to perhaps occupy a place they should not with respect to family life. So comment, if you would, on the dangers that you see of that happening and how perhaps we can unentangle the family and family formation from from government defining what a family is, because you find some that can't even tell what is male, what is female.
Right. So the more recent problem is the government attempting to redefine marriage. All right. So people will talk about the advent of no-fault divorce, which changed the marital requirement that marriage be a lifelong union outside of a specified number of reasons, right? So let's say abuse or serial adultery. So no-fault divorce sent the signal that marriage is not a permanent covenant union. And then you have same-sex marriage, so-called same-sex marriage, which says that marriage no longer has to be a union between a man and a woman. Now, it's only a matter of time before some legislator introduces a bill that says, well, marriage doesn't even need to be between two people. All right? And at that point, we're going to realize that this downward slide does not have a natural ending place. Because whenever you change marriage law, you always change family policy. And when 3 men show up at the courthouse saying, I have a right to a child that I didn't create, I think maybe that will be a wake-up call for conservatives and Christians in particular to understand that our tinkering with God's law and God's design was always going to have these consequences. So I think part of that is on the definitional side. But to your question is also a policy issue, right? Where the advent of big government, the increase and enlargement of the welfare state, particularly in the 1960s, sent a signal through policy and culture that a man is not responsible for providing for the children that he creates with a woman. And ever since then, that signal has gotten stronger and stronger to the point now where I read a story in the Washington Post last year about a program for low-income moms that gives them either $900 a month for an entire year or $10,800 up front. And the first mom they profiled was 27 years old. She had her 3rd child. It described her as a stay-at-home mom, a term that typically infers that a husband is there providing. As you read her profile, she was getting subsidized housing from the government. She was in the WIC program. She was receiving food stamps. And she was getting, cash assistance. So it was clear. The reporter never said this, but it was clear that when it says that she's a stay-at-home mom, the implied husband there is the government. And you see those types of things, and no one bats an eye because we've been on this path for the better part of 6 decades.